Do you want to start your own handyman business and scale it past $250,000 a year? Well, Caleb Ingraham from North Seattle Handyman achieved this mark by only investing $5,000 into the business. Today we're talking to the man behind the famous North Seattle Handyman who manages to rake up to $25,000 a month with only one full-time employee. Caleb's also leveraged online marketing to serve more than 100 customers a year and is now on track to hit his mid-six-figure-a-year mark.
If you start a handyman business right now, you will immediately get phone calls, systemize, systemize, systemize. I'm a believer in spending money to make money. They're paying for themselves because if your employees aren't actually making you money, then there's no point in having them. I have all of my cordless tools throughout here. I have all my screws and all that stuff.
Today he'll share with you guys how you too can start a handyman business, how he kept his risks small in the beginning, the one thing that made his business successful, and the mistakes he made along the way.
Put the word North Seattle and Handyman in their review, and that helps with the Google algorithm. They told me that I had to charge more, and I listened to them. One of your first purchases should be one of these, being able to accurately quote based off of emails and pictures.
Let's dive deeper into the details of the insurance setup.
I found that I made more money doing the small work. The only way for me to make more money at this point is to hire people.
All right, you guys, let's go talk to Caleb. But before we do that, take a second, like this video, subscribe to our channel. We greatly appreciate that. And let's dive into the interview. I think he's right here, working away. Hello, Caleb.
Hey.
I'm Paul. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Caleb.
Awesome. Let's do this. All right, Caleb, tell us when and why you started the handyman business and what were the goals for your company?
Well, I started about 4 years ago, and I originally was just trying to get into the remodel business, but once I started doing the handyman work, I realized I made more money doing handyman work than I ever would make doing a remodel.
Interesting. Okay. And that's what was the reason for you to just dive in completely?
The reason was because my family was growing and I was working for a corporation, and they gave me an opportunity to jump ship, which I took and just went running, you know.
That time came. The
time came and I was ready for it. You know, I was about 35 years old and I was mature enough and ready to try to start my own thing.
Caleb, tell us about the average monthly revenue that you are currently having, and tell us about the best month you had, and then how do you define a bad month? Sure.
So when it was just me, a great month would be around $25,000. That's cost of goods sold included. So there is some material in that. Okay. But with two people, I would say a great month would be about $40,000.
Does that fluctuate?
Absolutely.
Like cyclicality, cyclical?
It does a little bit. The summer is definitely the hotter month. I would say that in the summer I probably average closer to 40, and then the winter is probably closer to 30 or so. But it all depends on what you can offer, and the weather does affect it to some extent, but not in any way that impacts my life, you know.
That's good. What's your best month that you've ever had?
Best month I ever had was 50 grand. Yeah.
50 grand, nice. Yeah. And how do you define a bad month? Like, is that break even? Do you even have that?
I've never broken even. I would say the worst month I had, I grossed $15,000, yeah.
Okay. Show us inside your van, kind of like your setup and maybe any special, unique supplies, stuff
Absolutely.
Like that.
So I have over here, I have all of my cordless tools throughout here. Sometimes it's more organized than this, sometimes it's less. It just depends on the job.
Okay.
I have paint over here, all my solvents and stuff like that, caulks and nails up here. I have all my screws and all that stuff. And then one of the nice parts about having a big ass van is you can fit a 12-foot ladder in it.
Better inside than outside? What's the pro on that?
Well, if I put the ladder on here, I wouldn't be able to go through a drive-through coffee spot. So
okay, so you got to get coffee when you're going to the job site.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Good for you.
For me, in a van like this, having small, compact tools is a lot better than having something big, because you're going to be moving it in and out of your van every day. So I'm looking for things that are small and compact, and I'm going to spend my money on something more expensive if it has a smaller, compact thing. So I have a couple fancy tools. My chop saw is a Festool, and I have a bunch of Festool rail saws and stuff like that, which is probably the top end of the tools. I typically buy expensive tools because I think that they work better, and I'm a believer in spending money to make money.
What about your overhead on a monthly basis? Where are you at? What does it cost to run it?
Sure.
When I break it down for us.
Yeah, no problem. When I first started, I probably had about $3,500 in expenses.
Okay.
And I was making, when I first started, between $15,000 and $20,000 gross per month, so it wasn't too terribly bad. As I'm starting to grow, you have to take on payroll and L&I, and there's some expenses there, but ultimately they're paying for themselves, because if your employees aren't actually making you money, then there's no point in having them. Right. So I would say, per employee, you're gonna, like in the Seattle area, you're gonna probably pay around $6,000 a month in wages. And then you also have to pay L&I and insurance for them. But like I said, if they're not making you money, then you're not doing it right. Besides labor, what's the next most expensive monthly expense? Insurance, van insurance, contractor's insurance, your bond, and all that stuff. I typically just try to pay it all up front the first month, so it's kind of a big ticket item, because I don't like paying everyday bills. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. You guys, we just launched a podcast, and I just want to let you know that in the podcast, we dive into more details with people like Caleb, successful business owners. So do check it out, upflip.com/podcast. I have a job I got to do tomorrow. You mind if I pack up some tools? No, yeah, let's keep talking. All right, let's do it. Asking you questions. Let's talk about like the skills that you need to get involved in this industry, right? So for somebody who lacks the experience but wants to get involved in this industry, what can you tell us on that? Well, I think that as far as the skills of skilled labor goes, if you're going to do something like hang a TV, you don't need that much time to do it. But if you're going to do, a wide variety of things, then it takes about 15 years to have that experience. So it's really about how you can market your skills. Okay. And so define your skills. Can you hang TVs and install faucets? If yes, there's people who will pay you money to do that. Or if you're a lifelong carpenter, there's people who pay you to do that too. So just over time, I guess. I mean, yeah. What I struggled the most with in the beginning was business systems. I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't know how to invoice. I didn't know how to do any of those things. Okay. That's what I've been working mostly on is trying to incorporate business systems, and we've made quite a bit of progress doing that so far. Okay. Guys, later in the video, Caleb will share with you exactly what systems he uses that optimizes his business for best performance. So keep watching. Wouldn't it be great if you can set up your business in less than 10 minutes? Imagine getting the ball rolling right away without long waits and complicated procedures. Well, today, Better Legal is the sponsor for this video, and they are hands down the best way for you to set up your business, most affordable, quick, and easy, period. Their prices are transparent, the fee is affordable, they offer you guys extra help with your business journey, and they give you access to an interactive portal that'll help you manage things down the road. So take a second right now, check the link below, and get the help you need right away. Is it a good time to get into this business, being a handyman? Why or why not? I would say it's probably the best time because, at least in the Seattle area and in a lot of other areas, people make $200,000 a year and don't own a screwdriver. So they'll pay pretty well to have somebody that's professional and thoughtful and wants to solve their problems. So I charge $100 an hour. And sometimes they make $100 an hour for building IKEA furniture. Sometimes I make $100 an hour for doing plumbing, but sometimes I make $100 an hour for installing light bulbs. It just depends. So I think it's a great time. And the hardest part, in my opinion, is figuring out the business side of handyman businesses, because anybody that wants to start a handyman business already knows how to do the skills, probably. What they need to do is figure out how to run the business. What resources helped you in the first 2 years of your business, and where small business owners watching this can go to find help and do a better job in operating and running their business? Sure. Online tutorials are great, but I found having a business coach was really helpful. You do have to spend some money on them, but they'll help you make the decisions that you're going to avoid making. You know, there's a lot of things where you're just going to want to hesitate on, and a business coach will help you to be a little bit more aggressive. The coach I used was Rebecca Ellison. She was terrific. She helped me systemize all of my systems. She helped me figure out how to build a website. She helped me in all sorts of things.
Give us an example of how exactly your coach helped you make the right decisions.
Sure. So the very first part was when I was trying to figure out how to choose a name for my company. I was going to do something like Caleb Ingraham Handyman Services or something like that. And she coached me into saying, no, you want to target your area. So part of the reason my name is North Seattle Handyman is because A, I want to do work in North Seattle. And B, if someone is looking for a handyman in the North Seattle area, they're going to type in North Seattle Handyman into Google. And that actually helped me become the #1 handyman on Google. And then the other thing that she helped me out quite a bit with was finding my target market. Okay. So in order to do that, we tailored my website to speak to those people. We're speaking to people that have a lot of money but don't own a screwdriver, right? So she helped me tailor my website to attract those people.
Very well. So business consultants, coaches are worth every penny. The right one.
I believe so, yeah.
Let's talk about your website.
Sure.
Is it important to have a website for a handyman? And, you know,
I would say it's what has made the difference in my business.
Wow,
is having some place where people can go and see me virtually increases my customer base about 1,000-fold. Because if I'm just working off of word of mouth, then I haven't even put a drop in the bucket of the people who can see me. So some of the things that we use are our branding right inside of the van.
Well done.
We use our website. And then the final part is just trying to do a good job for your customers. If you can't do that, if you can't do a good job for your customers and communicate with them, then they're not going to come back.
In general, what's your recommendation to other handymen watching you right now in terms of websites?
I would say a Squarespace website has been one of the best parts of my business. We've focused really hard on it, and right now I come up first when you go Handyman Google.
Wow.
And that has driven a lot of people our way. With a website, if you get a marketing funnel in there, then you will have your pick of the litter, and you will be able to say no to jobs that don't make any money. If you're just doing word of mouth, then you're going to constantly feel like you're up against a monetary wall, you know, and having a website really helps alleviate that pressure.
How much money are you spending on an average month for marketing? And let's talk specifically, like, what are you doing?
Absolutely.
Keywords.
So we do a lot of things where we try to stay relevant on Google. Okay. And then I think Yelp is a great website for handyman services in particular.
We hear that a lot.
I have a relationship with Yelp, and then I can kind of turn on my marketing as it comes. So if I'm 3 months out and I don't want to be, you know, like if I'm a handyman, I don't want to be 6 months out. No one's going to hire me for 6 months from now. So I can kind of turn that on and off. In general, if I want to turn it on, it's about $600 a month. But I will get about 5 times what I get right now. And right now I get about 5 inquiries a day.
Any tips and tricks when it comes to Yelp and Google to get the best ROI?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do is we ask our customers to put the word North Seattle and Handyman in their review, and that helps with the Google algorithms.
Interesting. Okay, how did you, is that again from your coach, or how did that?
A lot of that comes, so I've also hired a marketing director, part-time right now, but hopefully full-time in the next 6 months, and that's a strategy we came up with.
How do you set up an effective marketing funnel for a new handyman business?
First one would be name. My name is North Seattle Handyman because I work in the North Seattle area. Next one would be target market. So I want to target the people that I want to do work for. The next one will be having a good professional website. We use Squarespace. It has been awesome. And then the last one is having a customer management system, and that has helped us incredibly.
Awesome. Tell us about how many customers on an average week you service, and what's the average invoice?
Yeah, absolutely. So I service between 3 and 5 customers, and on some weeks it'll be between 5 and 7. My average invoice is anywhere between $500 and $1,500.
Wow.
So I make about $800 a day by myself, and then as I include other people, I can make, I think the best day I've had was $3,000 a day or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you on a per hour basis, or how do you?
I offer them both. It kind of depends on what somebody asks. But if I'm going to bid something, I'm going to sort of bid on the worst case because. But I try to be flexible enough where I try to explain that to a customer. I say, I'm happy to give you a bid, but if you can trust me and we can do hourly, I think you'll probably end up paying less. So
Okay.
I try to give them options, but it's up to them, really.
That's fair. Tell me more about the build out of this van and the importance of doing it.
So when I first bought the van, I bought it for about 28 grand, but it was just a husk. There was nothing in it except for obviously the driver's side, all this stuff.
Brand new?
I bought it with about 35,000 miles on it.
Okay.
But once I bought that, I had to invest into some shelving. And the shelving cost me about $6,000.
Whoa, okay.
And it was a big ticket item, but it has made my life so much easier. The two things, I'm 6'4", having a van that I can stand in is amazing for me. And then the other thing is being able to be organized in a van like this makes a world of difference. So I invested in this padded flooring. I invested in all these. Around the front here, I have a bunch of different kits that I can pull out for different jobs. So if I have like a bunch of hollow wall anchors or if I have a bunch of plumbing parts, I can just pull them all out and pick through them. I probably use something different in this van every single day. So
Okay.
I have a lot of tools, but I use a lot of tools.
Your initial investment, how much was it and how did you allocate the money to get going?
Initial investment was $5,000 or so. A lot of that was just in buying computer and office supplies.
Okay.
And then it was getting a bond and a license. From there, I had a couple of friends who needed some work done, and my sister helped me start a website. And within 3 weeks, I had people calling me to do work. So
Nice, okay.
Yeah.
Caleb, tell us about the equipment that you would expect to use. Do you need anything specialized or can you just do your job with basic stuff from Home Depot?
When you first start out, you can absolutely do something with a pickup truck and a set of tools.
Okay.
As you grow, I've always tried to reinvest into my business from the beginning. No matter how much money I made, I try to put more money into the business than I took out. So the biggest piece of equipment I ever bought was my van, and that has paid for itself 10 times over. The rest of it are drills and saws and all the stuff that you would, use building stuff. So, and most people that are interested in handyman business, I would assume, have some tools.
Gotcha. Nothing that's out of this world as far as tools.
Absolutely
you got to order
not.
out of some specialized place that'll make your
Eventually,
job easier.
I think it's a great idea to buy a sweet-ass van.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the best tool. Let's talk about and understand what kind of supplies you use as a handyman. Any advice on finding the right suppliers that will give you the best value? What can you say on that?
So from a handyman perspective, most of the work that I do, I just go straight from the person's house to a supplier. So I use Home Depot and Lowe's a lot, and then locally we have a Dunn Lumber here. If you have a good lumber yard that has a lot of things, they're invaluable. But the most important thing for me is that they're spread out across the city, because I'm spread out across the city. I'm not working in a little, in a neighborhood. I'm working in a city. So if there's a lumber yard, but they only have one location, it makes it a little bit more difficult to have a relationship with them, because I might be in South Seattle one day and then I might be in North Seattle the next day. And I don't want to drive an hour and a half to go get something. I need something the proximity is key for me.
Okay. Talk us through the process of scheduling a new customer and how far in advance are you booking out?
So we have an online portal that our customers put as much information as possible that we ask of them, and we make it required that they put this information in. They give us a bunch of pictures, and I get that all in an email format right up front so that I don't have to waste a ton of time going to people's houses.
Right.
If I'm doing a 2-hour job and it takes me an hour to get there and back to bid a job, then it's a waste of my time. So our systems have been very sort of motivated towards being able to accurately quote based off of emails and pictures. To answer your other question, we tend to be about 6 weeks out. We have 2 people right now, but I could increase my marketing revenue a little bit, and we would easily be able to have enough work for 4, 5, or 6 people.
How many employees do you currently have, and what do they do, and what's their average pay? What are you paying them?
So for a handyman tech, I pay between $30 and $35 an hour. And then right now, I've cycled through them. Hiring is pretty competitive in the Seattle area right now. So trying to find the right people, just trying to get them to come to you is a challenge. And then for like office staff, I pay between $20 and $25 an hour for admin. One of the biggest challenges in scaling is scaling yourself from 1 to 3 or 4. But once those 3 or 4 people are in place, they can be generating revenue while you peel off and try to work on your all of your other systems, your hiring systems, and all that stuff. And we are sort of in the middle stages of that right now. We're creating, we're gonna create a market to handymen. So we want to figure out how do we sell ourselves to our potential employees.
Is there certain tools that you use more than others? Can you describe that?
Sure. So I typically have bags where I'll keep subsets of tools in, and then I'll always have all of my my battery powered tools.
Okay.
I have probably 13 or 14 different drills and grinders and all that stuff, and then in here I like to keep, this is actually a great tool. It's called an oscillating tool. It's one of the Swiss Army knives of tools. One of your first purchases should be one of these.
Okay.
Outside of that, you always have to have your cordless drills, your tape measures, and then your flat bars and hammers and all that stuff. You could do a lot with just this bag.
Just this bag, okay.
Yeah, just this bag, you could install TVs, you could do plumbing work, you could install light fixtures, you could do any number of things.
Let's talk about your $100 hourly rate, because you mentioned it a few times in the video. How did you come to that? Is that average for handymen in this area and in general?
Sure. When I first started, I was going to charge $60 or $70 an hour, but I had a couple friends that had done service businesses, and they told me that I had to charge more, and I listened to them. So I started, and people just started taking me up on it. I've always tried to offer value for that. So if I get to somebody's house, I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing anything else. I'm serving that customer, and I'm working really hard to make sure that I'm using their time well.
So to those who are watching now who are charging $50 to $60, what would you tell them? I mean, it sounds like you can charge more, but
I would say that you're always going to be up against a financial wall. Mm-hmm. $100 an hour is perfect for middle to upper middle class. If you charge $40 to $60 an hour, your clientele is actually going to be probably more detail oriented than a $100 an hour person.
I see.
Right? Like they're going to be trying to get more out of you at 40 to 60 than somebody you're charging $100 an hour. So at least that's what I've found.
Okay. What are the pros and cons of running this business out of your home? Have you considered getting a dedicated space somewhere else?
We will probably get a dedicated space in somewhere between 1 and 3 years, depending on our growth. Okay. But right now, with one van, I mean, my van is my office, pretty much. I work out of the van. I have a small office in my house, and I can get a 20% tax write-off by having something in my house. So it doesn't make any sense for me. Like, I ran the numbers, and it didn't make any sense. So I just stay at home until it makes like financial sense, and you have enough people and enough vans that you have to have the place to park them all. What's the point?
What about insurance? Do you need any specialized insurances? What happens when you're on the job and you damage something or your employee gets hurt?
Yeah.
Let's dive deeper into the details of the insurance setup.
So in Washington State, you can be licensed as either a handyman or a general contractor. I am licensed as a general contractor. I do have to pay more in insurance for that.
Okay.
The handyman distinction would be less, but you are allowed to do less things.
And that insurance covers, like I said, the damage something.
That's right. If you break something, you damage something, you do anything, you have a choice to make. You can either pay it out of pocket, or you can involve the insurance companies. If I damage something small, I pay it out of pocket. It's the cost of doing business. But if I were to have a large scale problem, then my insurance would pay for it. Yeah.
I'm gonna challenge your memory here. Do you know what the cost for insurance is? Like
sure.
The coverages, right?
So my bonds, I think I have a bond for $10,000, and I think I pay $200 a year for it. So it's not too bad. And then my insurance, I think it's around $4,000 or so.
Monthly?
For the year.
Or the year.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are the coverages though? Do you
it's
have
for $1 million.
How much?
$1 million.
$1 million. All right, you guys, it's Blitz time with Caleb. Let's dive into it. First question, what's your favorite business book?
Be Traction by Gino Wickman.
Okay. What's the weirdest thing that you have seen in somebody's house?
I've seen a lot of porno mags.
That answers
I think
it.
that answers it.
Okay. What was the final thing that pushed you to start working on this business?
Starting my family and needing to support them.
What's the biggest misconception people have about your position, your role?
I would say the biggest misconception about handyman in general are that they is the sort of Craigslist handyman kind of thing.
Okay.
So like you can make handyman be whatever you want it to be. I made it into a professional service, or you could make it into someone that makes $15 an hour. It's up to you.
Question from Ahad. Thank you for submitting your question. What are your plans for the next 5 to 10 years?
We're going to try to grow the business and scale up. So our plans are to be at $1 million within a year and a half. And in 10 years, we want to be a $10 million company.
Awesome. This is from Adrian Walker. Best part of being a business owner?
Freedom. So not having a boss. Now, your customers are your boss to some extent, but you get to choose them.
This is from Aria A. How did the pandemic affect your business?
The pandemic grew my business, believe it or not. I have probably grown 15% since the pandemic began. People want to do work on their houses. You know, they have extra money and they want to do it in their house.
Awesome. How do you know how long a job will take? Walk us through the process of estimating correctly and not overbooking yourself and, that process.
Yeah, so when you first start, you're gonna overbook yourself.
Inevitable?
Inevitable.
Okay.
And so it's about paying attention and revising. But there are also a lot of great resources out for you. We use HomeWise. And it's kind of like having book time for a car. They'll tell you what is industry standard in your area, and then you can use that as a benchmark, but then you kind of have to play off of that and say, okay, this is what they say it's going to take. How long is it going to take me? And can I either give a better price to my customer or take a little bit more profit off of it?
Okay. Are you taking any different new steps to continue to scale your business? If so, what are those things that you're doing?
Absolutely. Because of the success of the website, I have pretty much tapped out my ability to make money by myself. So I've started to try to hire. I'm bringing on a business partner, and then I've hired a marketing director, and we're working on handyman systems. So we want to offer people that are new to handyman businesses and service businesses sort of an easy way into the business side of handyman businesses.
How do you plan to do that more specifically?
Well, we have a website coming out, and we will have some online classes and
tutorials, etc.
Tutorials and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
What is demand like for handyman, and where would a new handyman look for more connections with customers?
If you start a handyman business right now, you will immediately get phone calls from real estate people and like people who are managing condominiums.
Wow, so that high.
And that's by just starting a business. They will get your phone number because there's so much demand, at least in our area in Seattle, there's so much demand that I wouldn't hesitate to guarantee that you will have some work. People will be knocking on your door. You really don't have to do a ton. You know, now the whole point of getting good jobs is creating that website and doing all that stuff. That's how you get your pick of who you want to work for.
I see, okay.
So if you just want to work for a contractor, you can make a relationship with a couple of contractors, or you can make a relationship with a couple of real estate people. But typically they're going to charge 30% on top of you. So if you want to go direct to customer, which is what I do, and charge what they charge, that's why I can charge $100 an hour, is because I am not using a third party. I go direct to customer, and that makes me more money.
Okay. Yeah, as a real estate agent, man, I only have like 2 people on my contact list. I'm like, where are the handymen
Totally.
that actually know what they're doing, they're on time, and they're professional like you? So, boom. That's
Right
awesome.
here.
Too bad you're not in Bellingham. So it's you and another full-time employee.
Yep.
Curious about your workload. Is it hard to get time off as an owner?
It's pretty hard to get time off like on a weekly basis because there's a lot going on. But the nice part about owning your own business is if you schedule it, you can take as many vacations as you want.
Nice.
So I probably work, 50 to 50 hours, 55 hours a week. But, I'll take a week vacation every, 3 to 4 months. So
Nice.
There's parts of it that are hard, but by the end of it, like if you're running a business well, I think that what you're doing for fun is running your business. Like that's kind of what I do for fun nowadays, is try to grow and figure out how to run my business.
That's awesome.
I have other hobbies too, but that's the major one right now.
What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is Scrabble. I love playing Scrabble.
Okay.
A little chess every once in a while.
Nice.
And then I love watching the Seahawks too. So.
Awesome. We
Yeah.
love the
Go
Seahawks.
Hawks.
Go Hawks. And you guys, if you're enjoying this video, please take a second, subscribe, like this video, and you will support Caleb as well by doing that. What else can you share with us in terms of hiring employees, finding the best talent? What do you look for to find the right team?
So we try to focus on our core values. And rather than trying to hire somebody with the right skill set that has different values than us, we're going to look for people that have the same values as us and then train them up on the skills.
Can you share with us what are your core values?
Yeah, core values are trust first, value your customer's time, and what's the last one? It's work for your customers.
And you look for that in everybody you interview.
Absolutely. So like rather than having somebody that has different values, then we want to bring them in and try to train them up.
What's the most challenging thing for you as a handyman, and what's the most rewarding thing?
Most challenging is definitely scheduling. If you're going to service 5 customers a week and something runs long, you might, and you're booked out 6 weeks, then you might have to reschedule 25 people.
Wow.
So that can be really challenging, and that's where having a great system comes in handy.
Okay.
If you're just trying to do that off the top of your head, you're going to miss a lot of things. But if you have everything in one place, if you have a piece of software that can inform everybody, it makes something that's hard into something that's doable. If I didn't have that, I don't know that I would have ever stuck with this, because you do have cost, you have time overruns, and if you can't effectively reschedule people, then you're going to hate your life.
Scheduling. Okay. What about rewarding? What are the rewards of this business for you personally?
Yeah, for me, it might sound corny, but it's just being of service to people. I take pride in the fact that there are some people out there, if their toilet stops running and they need somebody to call, they call me and I can help them. And I enjoy making money from that, but it's not all about the money. It's part of it is helping my neighbors and countrymen.
What type of jobs does a handyman do? Are there jobs that you absolutely won't take from a financial standpoint and things like that?
When I first started out, I did a lot bigger jobs. I would get into the medium-sized remodels, and I found that I made more money doing the small work than I did.
Interesting.
One of the other things we have done recently is in the first couple of years I was doing a lot of exterior work, and we're in the Pacific Northwest and it rains a lot. So we targeted our marketing to try to advertise to more interior work, and that's nice because it just keeps me out of the rain a little bit.
You wanted to get out from the rain.
A little bit, you know. I don't mind a little bit. I'll do it, but you know, if given the choice, I'll be inside.
Yeah, Seattle is rainy, so it's something that you can easily do, right? In terms of shifting who you want to target. It's
absolutely,
pretty much like a throttle.
Yeah. It's even easier if you have a website and you can target market. And that comes from the combination of having a business coach, having a website, and having target marketing.
Earlier in the video, we told you that Caleb's going to share an incredible tip to the success of his business when it comes to systems. So, Caleb, why don't you specifically share what those things are and what turned your business around?
Sure. So, when a client is looking for North Seattle Handyman, they get routed to my website. They put all their information in, and that goes to a Google form.
Okay.
Once that Google form goes to that, we have a third-party software called Zapier, which connects other parts of the business. They send that to an email for me that gives me all that information up front so I can see it all in one email thread. It also sends it to my customer management system. And in that customer management system, what that does is it keeps everything in one place. So I can invoice, I can talk to the other customers through that system, I can schedule through that system, I can do everything in one spot, which makes it so that if I have to change things, I can do it easily and efficiently.
Okay, and what did that do to your business ultimately?
Yeah. I mean, it's made it so that I've hit my ceiling. The only way for me to make more money at this point is to hire people. And that customer platform is called Field Pulse. And Field Pulse, yeah.
Field Pulse,
yeah,
okay.
They've been great. Yeah.
What are you spending monthly on the subscriptions for these 3-4 platforms?
Maybe $100.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not much.
So for those not using it, they're really missing out on.
I would say so, yeah.
In conclusion, any just general advice to young entrepreneurs, people currently in this industry looking at this video, what would you tell them? Just 3 pieces of advice.
3 pieces of advice. 1 is get started. Go to your friends, go to those people, but start a website. 2 is treat your customers like people, and they'll treat you like a person. 3rd piece of advice is systemize.
Incredible.
The more you systemize, the easier life becomes.
Awesome. Caleb, this has been wonderful. We learned a lot. We've learned a lot, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
I trust you guys enjoyed this really fun episode with North Seattle Handyman. Took away advice that you will implement and execute in your business starting right now. Take a second, like this video, subscribe to our channel. We appreciate your support, you guys. We do this for you, and thank you for watching.